Hi guys, welcome to PBTV, and we are here today to talk about the new KRYTAC LMG. This is the Mark II. It has loads of different upgrades where it comes to the mag, internals, the actual look of it, loads of different bits, and there are now two models as well, so we're going to have a little bit of a deep dive into both, the differences, where it might sit in your player style and loadout, and whether you want something big, chunky and heavy like the M, or something a bit more para, and I wouldn't say lightweight, but maybe a bit more compact with the MP. We are going to start with the M, purely because I will be taking the MP apart just to show some of the features on it. But the M and the KRYTAC, obviously, the KRYTAC LMG has a very sort of positive impact into sort of the LMG role, because many years ago the most popular LMG, and still now if people can get hold of them, is the GMP Stoner, because there's not many LMGs out there that have a select fire function like this does. A lot of people say that it is just an M4 with a big upper, which is kind of correct, but most LMGs are just M4s with loads of other bits on it, making them look slightly different. And again, Airsoft, they all do the same thing. If you're willing to carry the extra weight, then you should be allowed to carry the extra capacity as well and run in an LMG role. So when it comes to the KRYTAC, we are going to start at the front and work our way back, and then we'll dive inside into the new internal features of the KRYTAC system, which is now across the board when it comes to the SBR, the LVOA, all that kind of stuff, the Tridents and all of it have the new internal systems, making them very good out the box, but still an absolutely fantastic platform to upgrade from. It's why we use them in our bolster armories and things like that, purely because the external build quality and just the materials are absolutely incredible, and the upgradability and the longevity of these platforms is just absolutely fantastic. So, as you can see with this, compared to its predecessor, it does have a long barrel. The flash hider at the front is a standard 14mm counterclockwise, so you can remove that and put any device that you want on the front of it. And you could remove the out barrel if you wanted to, and just throw any device you want on there if it's tracer units or anything like that. This does have a 416mm inner barrel, so it does come into this extension a little bit. So if you are wanting to put a tracer on there, make sure it doesn't block the sensor. You may have to keep the outer barrel on if you are wanting to tracer this thing up, because an LMG with a tracer unit, especially with that new has to miss tracer, is hilariously fun. Blowing smoke everywhere, loads of muzzle flash, and just having a glorious time. It is a 6.05mm inner barrel that is in this. So again, it's not quite a tight bore, but again, LMGs, you're not trying to be overly accurate. You're there for fire suppression, rate of fire, sort of putting rounds down range and keeping people's heads down. If this thing was pin accurate, which it is very accurate to a decent range, but if you were doing that 6.03 single shot, hitting an ant at 100 meters, it kind of defeats the purpose of the LMG role. So this thing does reach out and it is amazing, but you do want that sort of fire suppression capability when you're running 5,000 rounds. Coming back to the rail system, so we do have an M-LOK rail system. I will show how this comes apart on the MP, because these both have two different, this one's rear wired, that one's front wired, so I'll show how that comes apart on the later one. With the receiver, we do have a full metal receiver, and we do have Riz going up on the top here. So again, all your optics will fit on this. Anything that's Riz mountable, you can throw it on. Whether or not it's a 4x, I used to run one of these with a 3.5 ACOG on it. Looked glorious, just really heavy. These things are coming in very close to 4 kilos. I think they're about 3.7. There's a minor difference between this one and the Para one, but the Para one stock is full metal. This one has a bit of an extra barrel and an M4 stock. So they're not terribly different, but they are a heavy beast, and that is without any BBs in. So you're throwing 3,000 .28s in this thing, you're going to know about it after you've been running around. So I'd recommend a sling. At the back here, you do have a hook style sling point, and there are some QD points in the stock there. If you wanted to 2-point it with a QD, you will have to add a sling loop or something to the rail. People have seen some videos recently. We've had the PTS M-LOK QD parts in, so you could quite easily throw something like that together. The top rail does open, so you push a button on the left-hand side and this flicks over, allowing you to then lift the feed tray as well. Again, there's not really much to get in here. It's just purely for aesthetics and just doing various things like that. Fire controls and other controls that we have on here, as you can see here, there is a shorter fire selector on this side, and on this side, as you can see just here, we have a slightly longer one as well. This is purely for when you're right-handed and your finger is across there, you don't interfere with it on that side, but it is ambidextrous, so we do have safe, semi and full auto on an LMG, which is always useful. We have the mag release just behind that sticker there. So we have the mag release there that releases the 5,000 round drum mag, and we do have bolt releases and mag releases on this side. Obviously, the M does have the M4 style stock, nice and easy slidable, 6-position stock, and we do have 2 buttons at the back that allows to open it up, does stay put, and we do have a Dean's connector for the rear wired M variant. Both of these platforms do need to use something about the size of this, so you'll be able to see roughly compared to the size of my hands how big this thing is. So it is a 1300, 11.1 volts, 25C, and this will fit in the stock tube and in the front of the MP variant when we get to that one. So the M is a big, bulky platform. It's got the M4 stock, it's got the long barrel. You can trick this thing out with a grip, a bipod, lasers, optics, and anything like that, and just be a solid tank of an LMG gunner. But if you want something a little bit more lightweight and a little bit more compact, I say a little bit more lightweight, it is still probably about the same. Some would probably say even more weighty than the M, but this is the MP. So obviously there are some obvious visual differences. We do not have the barrel extension on the front, and we don't have the M4 stock, and the sling point is different as well. Both of these are coming out at about the same FPS. It's around 340. There's going to be a minor difference between the extra barrel length, because this one has a 363 millimeter inner barrel, and again it's a 6.05 millimeter barrel. We do have TDC hops as well in these, again adding to that accuracy. So yes, it's an LMG with a 6.05, but do not worry, you're wanting to sort of just be spraying anyway, so you don't want to be pin accurate, but these things are very, very accurate and reaching out a long, long way. One of the notes that we do have to talk about the MP is looking at the flash hider here. As you can see, the threads on the flash hider line up with the gas block on the bottom. So it is still a 14mm counterclockwise thread, but if you are wanting to add something on here, when you unscrew this, you do have to remove this piece as well. There is then a thread here, so you can just leave this off and put any device you want on it, or add a 1/2-inch barrel extension or anything like that, and then you can put whatever you want. But if you take this off and try and add something, it will catch on this. So we have the same rail system with the M-LOK, same rail system on the top, and then we have the KRYTAC Parastock. So simply pull on the spring and rotate, and it locks in place. It's very, very solid. It's not my cup of tea when it comes to LMG platforms. When I saw the original pictures of this, I thought it was kind of a little bit drop away for my kind of play style. So I kind of prefer the M4 stock. But then again, I don't really like the long barrel. So I'm in a weird position where I like part of one of part of the other, but there's nothing stopping me from running this thing and being quite happy with it, even with the Parastock here. So again, pulling it out away from the spring, rotating it 90 degrees and slapping it back in place gives you a very, very compact platform that you could be in a static position with and loose some serious rounds off. So we will now have a look at the magazine before we deep dive into the FET and things like that this thing does. So people that have had KRYTACs before understood that there used to be a little window here that you had to lever and do everything like that to get BBs into different compartments. I think it used to be about 3,500 rounds. This is now a standalone 5,000 round drum mag. You can see the 5.56 NATO at the top, and the gun would obviously be pointing this way. So this side is the leverage side. So you lift that up, open it up, and you can see in here there is a 7.4 LiPo attached to Dean's, and you literally pour your BBs into that gap there and then put the cover back on and it snaps in place. On the bottom we have a switch and a button. Clicking that on, you'll get a little red flash so that it is active, and then pressing the button you'll get the motor wind. It is not sound operated, this, as we originally thought when we test fired and this thing just kept feeding, We were under the impression that this was a sound operated mag. It is not. It is an optical sensor inside here. So when this thing is running and it's detecting BBs and things like that, when it stops detecting BBs, it will shut down. But yeah, with this being a 5,000 round optical system, you can either just press the button on the bottom whilst you're firing just to make sure it's feeding, or this thing will just keep churning away. It is a standard high cap on the top. That's why you've got this window and everything, but filling it from the side is much easier, especially with the weapon loaded. You can still pull the side off, load it, throw it back in. But again, 7.4 LiPo on the magazine, and then when it comes to the battery on the MP, we do have the lower rail section here. So at the front, we have sort of a rotating collar, unscrewing that forward towards the front of the gun, and then you lift upwards at the front and slide out. Again, same battery that we were recommending for the M4 stock version. The 1300 will fit in here with a little bit of working, and then there are two key points just here that fit back into the rear of the receiver. Press it down and then rotate this forward. We will say that when we got these out of the box, that bottom rail was very, very stiff. Trying to get it off, maybe need a little bit, like get a pen or something plastic so you don't scratch your rail, just to lever that front bit down, doesn't come off as a hole, or gouging it with screwdrivers or anything like that. Just get something that'll just tiny bit leverage, and then once it's been off once, it's very, very easy to put back, and the collar is what holds it in place. But yeah, externally, stunning, amazingly built, quite easy to put together, and comfortable to run around with these things if you're used to that weight. Internally, this is where these things really do shine. Obviously, we've mentioned bolster armories and that these things are very, very upgradable. The gearbox is Titan ready. So these things do have a new FET system, which KRYTAC didn't really do in the past. It's not a programmable trigger, it's purely a protection thing, but the Nautilus gearbox that is inside this has got the space to fit a Titan. What you are getting in here is battery protection, active braking, and they call it anti-strip protection for the gears. And you do have a 30K Neodymium motor in here as well. So rate of fire is incredible, the FPS is amazing, and you've got all the protection that you need to keep this thing running all day. Nothing programmable, so you can't really change your fire settings or out like that. What they've put inside here is just purely to keep this thing chugging and run all day long. With the magazine being able to dump all of its rounds, I know people that had the previous KRYTAC mag, it was amazing, but the door that was on the back and it was two separate compartments, every now and again, mid-firefight, you're having to flip your gun around and sort everything. This thing will just dump every single round out of it, and you can have a hell of a lot of fun doing it as well. If you watch one of our previous videos, we have had this thing on the range showing it shooting, so you can go back and check that out. We'll try and put a link in the description or in one of the comments. We'll pin a comment with the video of this thing firing so you can see what it's capable of. But bang yourself a tracer on it, a nice optic, maybe a magnifier, something zoomed so you can see the look on people's faces when you're rattling off rounds with either the MP or the KRYTAC M, and you're going to have a hell of a fun day. But that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed the new KRYTAC LMG, and we'll catch you with some more videos very, very soon. But until then, I'll see you in a bit.